If you've been a Chicago Cub fan for any stretch of any amount of time, it should be no shock to you that the Chicago Cubs reportedly are not going to spend as much money as we thought. Now, the key is, how do you fill holes, desperate holes in the team without going over the budget that Tom Ricketts has set for Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins? Well, you got to go to the trade market. That's right. So the Chicago Cubs are reportedly going to be very active in the trade market. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what they're going to do to fill those outfield needs right after this. What's up? What's up? What's up, Chicago Central family, friends? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mike Jones, back here again with another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. Remember, this is your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if this is your first time watching one of these episodes. Hey, listen, if you're a repeat offender, if you come back here often to get your news, to get your updates, to get your highlights, to watch the live calls with me, and if you're active in those comments below, you guys have my heart. Thank you so much, guys. We work really hard over here on Chicago Cubs Central to make sure that I'm bringing you quality content, that I'm bringing you correct content, and that it's an open forum where people feel safe to come and voice their opinion and their thoughts. So listen, this is the place to be. Get active in those comments. Tell me about today's topic. Tell me if you like today's topic. Tell me if you agree with today's topic. Tell me if you don't agree with today's topic and why, of course. And I'll get active in those comments with you guys below, and we'll have conversation even past the discussion of the show. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys have my heart. Thank you so much for all that you do right here on Chicago Cubs Central. This channel would not be available or able to make it without you. So with that being said, the Chicago Cubs are going to have to get active in the trade market. We know, even though they won't openly admit it, Tom Ricketts has already set a number for Jed Hoyer and for Carter Hawkins that they will not exceed. So the Chicago Cubs, knowing that they're probably going to be out on free agents like Kyle Tucker, out on free agents like Kyle Schwarber, out on guys like that, because they are unwilling to pay that big dollar, guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to get very, very active in the trade market. And reportedly enough, the Chicago Cubs aren't the only team that's looking to make trades for outfield help this season. There are a plethora of teams that are looking for outfield help this season, and they're going to have to get creative and do it through trades. Coincidentally enough, there's a lot of outfield help players out there that the Chicago Cubs could actually go and make trades with. Now, John Mrazzi of The Athletic literally posted that there are numerous teams looking to add at least one everyday outfielder. And of course, the Chicago Cubs are listed as one of those teams that are looking for outfield help. So, like I said, the Chicago Cubs definitely need that type of help out there, especially if you aren't going to re-sign Kyle Tucker. So let's dive into today's episode. I got three for you, three names that you ought to look for. Now, each of these three players offer different things in the batting order for the Chicago Cubs. So you definitely want to pay attention. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you who I think is the best bang for your buck with the Chicago Cubs. So first and foremost, Jo Adell. He is a power corner option. In 2025, y'all, he had 526 ABs. He had a 236 batting average, 37 home runs, 98 RBIs, and he had an OPS of .778. So, listen, there's multiple outlets and local Cubs rumor pieces that have suggested already that the Angels could move on from Adell for pitching. So the Angels want arms, right? They want pieces. They want players that can pitch for them. And the Cubs have pitching prospects that could very well interest the Angels very much. Jo Adell had if he were a part of the Chicago Cubs, he would have been the home run leader last year. Point blank period, off jump. Now, he wouldn't have been the RBI leader, but he would have been damn close. But I guarantee you, if he had hit 37 home runs for the Chicago Cubs last year, he would have had runners on base too. So that's a very important thing to look at. He's a power corner option. He is somebody that can offer a lot to your team. Now, what does he bring? He brings a legitimate middle of the order power, and the that the Cubs would desperately miss if they do not sign Kyle Tucker to a new deal, which everybody expects they don't. So the caveat with all three of these trades that I'm talking to you about on today's episode is with the assumption Kyle Tucker is gone. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through today's episode. So first and foremost, like I said, he brings legitimate power, middle of the order power. If you lose Kyle Tucker, he's a 30-40 home run ceiling if his contact stabilizes, and then he's good at corner spot, so he can either play right field, he can play left field, or you could have him DH, so him and Seiya Suzuki can literally play off of each other. Now, what do you worry about with Joe Adell? Well, you worry with him about the same thing you worry about with every other power hitter: high strikeout rates. Listen, he has a high K rate and a below average defensive metrics, but in the center field, but he's better suited as a corner outfielder in Wrigley. So we already don't have to worry about that because we already know who our center field is every single day. That will be Pete Crow Armstrong. So you don't have to worry about that. But Adell would be a straight replacement for the lost power that you lose with losing Kyle Tucker, which again, towards the end there, Tucker didn't show us much power anyway, so it ain't like we're losing that much. He's likely in a corner spot, so he's either going to be your designated hitter, and he also, like I said, can do things in outfield, and he also could potentially play first base for you too. So again, like I said, he's somebody that you look at as a guy that can play all around for you. And what would it cost to get him? Mid-level pitching prospects. So an upper level organization depth are the two things that the Angels are looking for. The Angels want arms. Point blank, period. So if the Chicago Cubs have arms to trade, the Angels will surely take them. And you know the Angels like Chicago Cubs arms. I mean, they're the ones that signed Kyle Hendricks to a one-year deal last year and let him pitch for them. Now, on the off kilter that the Chicago Cubs don't necessarily, they like Shota Imanaga but can't come up to an agreement with him. What if they signed Shota to a deal and then ended up trading Shota to the Angels in that deal, almost in like a sign and trade fashion, and the Chicago Cubs end up bringing in Joe Adell? I mean, it's not, Shota doesn't have to go through the Cubs to get that done, but at the same time, the Angels do have the rights to offer him a contract and sign him outright. But just in the thought process, I mean, he could be an option for trade, or Jackson Wiggins down in AAA could be an option for a trade also. The Chicago Cubs do have multiple pieces that they could look to trade pitching wise, which is what the Angels want for somebody for Joe Adell. So Joe Adell matches up pretty well with what the Chicago Cubs are trying to do. The second outfielder I'm talking to you guys about, Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran is a speed and defense, and he has some useful pop. So he's somebody in 2025 playing for the Boston Red Sox. His batting average was 256, 16 home runs, 84 RBIs, 24 stolen bases. He has an OPS of .774 at 620 ABs. Again, he's on the trade board because he has been widely listed among likely offseason trade candidates as Boston sorts out their outfield redundancy. So his name has come up in several top trade candidate lists. So he is somebody that Boston, I mean, they already have somebody that does what he does. So somebody that is great at speed and great at defense. He's a guy out there that you could look at and say, okay, he could potentially win you multiple Golden Gloves. And the Chicago Cubs do love defense. I mean, they are the reigning Golden Glove defensive team of the year. So, like I said, the Cubs look like a team that likes to defend well. They are a team that Duran would fit in perfectly with that. So what does he fit for with the Cubs? He brings speed plus strong range and solid defensive center left field work. He can manufacture runs and steal bases. He provides more contact than pure power. But again, what do you worry about with him? Well, that's the negative. He isn't a power source. His value is table setting, defense, and getting on base. So he's somebody that you look at almost like putting Nico Horner out there in the outfield. He's somebody that is great defensively, somebody that is going to give you some home runs, but he is not somebody that is going to give you 30 plus home runs in a season. He is somebody that does not have that type of power, does not have that type of pop in his bat. He does have useful pop, and he can be useful in times, but he's more of your single double type of guy. He's somebody that is going to get on base a lot. He's going to set the table for your heavy hitters. So you look at somebody like Jarren Duran, and you say between his speed and his defense and his useful pop, he brings a lot. So if Tucker departs, Duran could be an everyday leadoff, two-hole type of hitter while playing over in right field for the Chicago Cubs. And then Pico Armstrong and Ian Happ are on the other sides. Again, he just offers so much for the Cubs. He complement Wrigley's lineup by setting the table for the power hitters and adding defensive value at the same time. So he's another one. Jarren Duran is another one to look out for, to put out there in right field. Just as a guy. He also could slot in, and if PCA need today, he could play center field. If Ian Happ need today, he could play left field also. So he's somebody you could literally put at all three spots out there in the outfield, and he can give you quality out there in the outfield. And again, he's somebody that also you should look to that could also bring great defense, and somebody that can get on base and set the table for your heavy hitters, PCA, Michael Busch, and I mean somebody hitting leadoff too. We've talked about this before. Chicago Cubs finding somebody that can be a leadoff hitter for them would be clutch for this team. It's something that they desperately need. So that's another spot. So last but not least, what trade costs would it look like for a Jarren Duran trade? A package of mid prospects or an MLB bench piece plus prospects or a prospect, pretty much depending on the asking price from the Red Sox. So he would come a lot cheaper than looking at Joe Adell. He's somebody that I think you could look at and you could say to yourself, okay, this is a piece that the Chicago Cubs could absolutely bring here, fits the timeline, also fits what the Chicago Cubs are trying to do defensively, and he sets the table. Could you imagine, him on one end, Nico on the other, as far as in the batting order, guys setting the table, moving guys around the base path, and then setting up for the big inning for Seiya Suzuki or for Pico Armstrong to drive in runs. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right. Third and final piece for this episode. There are absolutely more outfielders, and I want you guys to list below your thoughts on these outfielders, but if there's any other outfielders the Chicago Cubs should trade for. This outfielder, Steven Kwan, is probably my least likely of all three. He played for the Guardians. He had a 272 batting average, 11 home runs, 56 RBIs, OPS of 704. Why is Kwan on the board? Kwan's name has surfaced in offseason chatter as Cleveland weighs roster moves. He's frequently mentioned among position players that could be moved for power or for pitching help. So again, another guy that is not necessarily a power hitter. What is he? Contact machine. He's somebody that is hard to get out. He makes good contact, and he is somebody that offers an opportunity for guys to move around the bases. So he's a great contact hitter. I like his batting average a lot at 272. That's a lot. Now, again, he's not a home run hitter. He's only had 11 last season, but he is somebody that could absolutely add to the Chicago Cubs defensively, be a part of the defensive glue out there. And again, he is somebody that should come cheaper. So, again, he's somebody that has elite contact rates. His on-base skills are a next level, plus defender. He's a perfect top-of-the-order bat and a reliable center field, right field glue piece. He has low strikeouts and a high on-base profile change, and that changes how pitchers approach the rest of the order. So, again, he's somebody that I'm thinking about that can hit at the top of the order, somebody that can get on base, somebody that can change how pitchers approach the rest of the order once he's on base, because he also can steal bases too. Now again, what do you need to worry about when it comes to Steven Kwan? Steven Kwan has limited power. He's not a 25-plus home run type of guy, so he won't replace Tucker's slugging alone. And then another question, how he slots. So Kwan would be an ideal top of the order table setter type of guy. So we got 2 table setters here, and then we got one guy that's hitting for power that could match what Kyle Tucker does with power. If he's a table setter, if the Cubs keep or promote young hitters behind him, so you're looking at somebody like a Moises Ballesteros, you're looking like a Owen Casey or somebody else, maybe being able to hit behind him. Pairing Kwan with sluggers preserves lineup balance. If you look at Kwan, he's a great 1-2 type of hitter, and then add somebody like Adell or an internal prospect providing the long ball. I just think it makes sense for the team. But what would it cost to get somebody like Steven Kwan? Well, you would need to do a controllable young piece or a prospect or a major league ready arm. So the Guardians are a team that usually wants value back. They aren't going to trade you anything for nothing. They have a very smart team over there working. So again, you aren't going to get just anything you want for him. All right, so coming down to the end here, folks. So quick comparison. If the Cubs need power to replace Tucker, Joe Adell is somebody you definitely want to look at. Joe Adell is the most direct, big home run upside type of guy. The trade piece could be higher, and you accept his defensive downgrade, but you still have the power there. And he's also somebody that could DH for you, and you could put Seiya Suzuki out there in right field. If the Cubs want speed, defense, and base running, Jarren Duran is the guy for you. He fits well as a leadoff center field, left field, right field option. He gives above average defense and stolen bases. And if the Cubs prioritize contact and lineup balance, then Steven Kwan is the guy for you. Excellent OBP. He's a defensive guy that turns the lineup over to sluggers when he is on the base paths. So my thought on all of this. If the Chicago Cubs lose Kyle Tucker, I'd headline Joe Adell as the splash target. Again, he solves the immediate hole. You sign Joe Adell. I mean, like I said, he's somebody that immediately comes in and offers you exactly what Kyle Tucker offered you outside of the defensive. But then again, Kyle Tucker's defense wasn't even that great last year. And then Jarren Duran is the smarter, cheaper with a higher upside if the front office wants to keep payroll flexibility. And then Kwan is, again, the low-risk guy. He's a high-contact option if Chicago prefers to build through defense and table setting rather than chasing raw power. So, again, this is just my thought process behind all of this. But I need to know now, what is your thought process behind all of this? Who would you choose and why? I need you guys to comment below your thoughts on any of these trades, if they make sense, and who are you willing to give up to get these guys? It sounds like all 3 of these teams are primarily looking for pitching help. So what would the Chicago Cubs have to give up in the realm of pitchers in order to make these deals happen? Listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.